Good evening, everybody. This is your boy Stoney coming to you live from the TCM Museum of Minnesota. Good evening. It is Friday, so you know the Space Corps podcast is live, baby. Get on in here, share the feed, join the crew, everything. We always love it. Sub the channels. You can find us on all those social medias and all that. But if anything, just thanks for being here. Appreciate it. The show is not possible without the help of our beautiful sponsor here, the TCMFanClub.com. That is actually the co-producer of the show, Mr. Gilly. This is his baby, his child, his life's passion. I'm overselling it, but this dude has put in the most amazing work to put for all the fans a free website that is absolutely everything Texas Chainsaw Massacre that you could ever want, including a really cool fan forum. So some of us older school people that predate MySpace and all that, we used to hang out on message boards, and that is a nice little bell and whistle. Come kick it with me on there too. I'm always posting on that as well. If you like what you're seeing with the show and you want to support, you want to be a part of the Space Cadet Army, the merch store is open. Shop.spacecorpspodcast.com. Lots of cool stuff there. Of course, anything that's sold, the money that comes right back goes into the show. Better webcams, better microphones, all that stuff to make this look a little bit more professional than it's ever been before. And we're making good strides, baby. So I'm really excited just the way that everything's been going. A big shout out to Gilly as well, once again, for helping get the show to this kind of level of where we're at right now. So tonight's guest, I'm really pumped about this. I mean, just to say the least, this man has produced and directed 19 feature films. He is an FX artist. Oh my God, I can't wait to talk about that work. He's a lead actor. He's got 43 years experience in the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, this evening we bring to you Mr. Joe Castro. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Hey, Sean, how you doing?
Dude, I'm doing very well. I'm so happy you're on, brother. I can't stop showing everybody just the pictures of your work. And I try not to sit and just blow smoke up everybody's butts, but you are an absolute legend in your whole career with everything you've done, just let alone in FX work. And unbelievable.
Thank you. Thank you for those kind words. I appreciate that. And before we move forward, I just want to say I really appreciate the level of skill and what you and people like yourself do to bring the horror and the indie community together. Without you, we would not thrive and survive. So much respect to you and to everything you do.
That. Thanks, man. This has just become such a fun. I mean, it's a hobby, right? What I'm doing here, but it's become so much more than that now. Just because it's, I used to do solo shows and unboxings, and it was kind of okay. But this is where it's at. I get a small amount of time each week to myself. I've got 3 kids. I've got a wife. I got a busy career. I just, so I get just a little bit. I get everybody to bed, and I say, now everybody leave me alone. I said, it's time for me, and
Right.
and just to get to meet people like you, and I mean, just all these other actors. And I'm a massive Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan at the core of it all. But I mean, I've grown up on horror movies, and
Just to let you know, I grew up literally an hour from where they shot the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
that's amazing. Do you live in Texas right now too?
No, I don't live in Texas right now, but I grew up in Helotes, Texas, which is about 25 minutes northwest of San Antonio. About it could be about an hour to maybe an hour and a half from Bastrop, Texas, where the gas station is.
Yes.
And so I grew up, I grew up on a goat ranch with a slaughterhouse. And so everything,
Nice.
and it was even more brutal than what they describe in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre growing up
Sure.
in South Texas. Also, I wanted to, we were talking about, podcasting and all this stuff. And I
Yeah.
was wondering, do you know who Forrest J. Ackerman is?
God, yes. Why? I do. What's?
It's like, why is that name so familiar?
Yeah.
Well, Forrest J. Ackerman, I like to talk about people from my past that basically have either made me the man I am today or
Okay.
are responsible for why you and I are doing what we're doing right now.
Sure, sure.
And Forrest J. Ackerman is one of these men. Forrest J. Ackerman was the very first horror groupie ever.
Okay. All right.
And when he was a child, when he was a young man, he lived here in Los Angeles, and he snuck onto the Universal backlot when they were shooting the original Dracula with Bela Lugosi,
Oh,
and he got
cool.
to meet Bela Lugosi, and Bela Lugosi gave him this little bottle of blood that Bela Lugosi had in his like costume that
Oh,
he had,
nice.
and it looked like a tiny beer bottle with a little cork on top of it, and it had fake blood in it. And he would like when you meet Forey, I met Forey. But Forey was actually the lead actor in my very first feature film. And was
Okay,
Forey
cool.
pulled out this little bottle and goes, "This is the bottle that Bela Lugosi gave me with the blood in it." And so
Oh
he
man.
was always surrounded by horror memorabilia. Thank you. And but anyways, Forey made the very first sci-fi horror magazine. It was called Famous Monsters of Filmland.
Okay, cool.
You've heard of Famous Monsters of
Yeah, that's
Filmland?
him.
That's he's the editor. He's the man that made made that
Dude,
magazine. And see, also people don't know this, but Forey coined the phrase sci-fi.
really?
He's the one that came up with it. Yeah, he
Oh
owns
my
it.
God.
And that's why the Sci-Fi Network doesn't spell it sci-fi because
Oh,
Forey's estate owns the word sci-fi because it's
because there's a
coined.
lawsuit coming.
Yeah. So they had because originally the Sci-Fi Network was sci-fi with SCIFI, but they had to change it because they didn't want to pay for his estate.
I love
So
that. I had no
yeah,
idea.
yeah,
Isn't
but
it
yeah,
just wild that, that little instance, that little piece, I mean, value means nothing. I mean, that little fake blood, what are we talking? Maybe a $5 thing, but the impact that that had on that man's soul,
yeah. Well,
holy
yeah,
cow.
yeah, and also like it looked like a tiny little like a little gypsy beer bottle. Like
That's
was made out of
sweet.
it was made out of like brown glass,
Yeah,
so you
yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
see through it. And then hold on, that's my phone. Someone's calling me. Let me
Oh,
turn
no
that up.
worries.
And then it had like a little cork on it, like an actual wine cork in the
Yeah.
top of it, so it looked like an ancient antique artifact to
Oh,
begin
that's
with.
so cool.
And he also had Bela Lugosi eventually gave him the ring that he wore in the film. He has like this
Oh,
ring that like he puts it like that. I guess he's like look into my eyes or
yeah, yeah,
whatever
yeah.
that thing.
Oh,
Anyways, yeah.
man.
So before he would walk around wearing that, but he was a horror groupie. He was the first one. He was like he was you and me,
God,
and he
that's
made this
cool.
magazine so everybody in the horror and sci-fi community could come together and talk
Sure.
about filmmaking and talk about horror. Yeah.
God, is that cool? That's beautiful. I just thinking of the allure of that. So my oldest daughter, she's 11. We go to Minneapolis. We only get one horror convention a year. We're nothing like Texas, and all these awesome spots where it's like every weekend there's something going on. But we have the Crypticon, and it's great. They've been doing it for 20 years, but it's something special. I take my daughter to. It's kind of our thing, right? And there was this booth, because there's so many awesome vendors and just artists that you get to meet. And this one gal, she sold all these little different vials with corks in them of like these like potion looking things with like glitter and weighted to it, so you could it just looked amazing. And then they had little, she had like tarot card looking like black cats and pentagrams and stuff on there. And
Yeah.
that was her first thing she ever picked up from there, and that is like still on her dresser 5-6 years later from now. And again, it just makes me think right there. It's just like you don't know what that does to somebody. It's just like
Right.
that could just be the little spark to ignite the
I,
life passion of this. It's
some
so cool.
some talented young girl made this. Can you see if I bring my face up? No, I guess you can't. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's this little skull.
Okay.
I wish you could see it. It's this really
Oh, there we
cool
go.
rotted.
Yeah, yeah.
This
Oh,
really
that's
cool
cool.
rotted skull. It's so cool. I was sitting here. I picked that up for $5 at a convention. It sits right here and inspires me. But I was gonna go back to Forey.
Yeah.
So I grew up reading Famous Monsters of Filmland, and you could
Okay.
get it you could buy it at like they still have Kroger's, they still have Kroger.
Yeah, yeah.
I would buy it from Kroger. Kroger carried Famous Monsters of Filmland, and then in 1978, 79, I believe, is when the first Fangoria magazine came out. So
Okay.
and see, Famous Monsters of Filmland was like the PG horror magazine, and then
Sure.
Fangoria was like almost PG-13 rated R, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
It was real bloody. So and every month you would run to the magazine stand to find like the next issue, and it was like what we're doing now was like our way to connect with
Yeah.
with people in the horror community all over. And that's kind of how I met my family of horror filmmakers. Because if you bought a subscription to a magazine
Mhm.
per year, you got free 3 sentences or 3 lines in the back of the magazine where it was like the readers forum, and you could write whatever you wanted back there in
Oh,
one issue.
cool.
So you could like I'd be like, "Hi, I'm Joey Castro and I live in Helotes, Texas. If you want to be a filmmaker, please call me." And I actually put my phone number there.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
people can reach you that way.
That's the
And this is
classifieds in the back of
yeah,
Fangoria.
exactly. And this is how I met a whole bunch of people that I eventually met when I came out to Los Angeles first time. But yeah,
That's amazing.
Forey paved the way for so many filmmakers. Forey introduced me to Brink Stevens, who's one of my best friends. Brink Stevens is a very well-known scream queen. I think she's been in almost 250 movies, and
Jeez.
she lives like right up the street from me here. I met her when I won a international I guess it was international special effects makeup contest
Okay.
in an offshoot of Famous Monsters of Filmland. He had a magazine called I think it was just called Famous Monsters. What was it called? No, it's called Monsterland. It's called Monsterland. And he what he did was before he had a contest in the magazine for anybody who was 17 and younger.
Mm.
You send in like a special effect picture of your work,
Yeah.
and you could win a chance to come to Hollywood and meet Joe Dante, John Carl
That's so
Buechler,
cool.
go to Universal, Disneyland, all this stuff. And I was basically honored to win that competition. So I got to come out to LA. I got to be friends with all these people. So when I finally moved out here in 1989, I already had a group of friends that were kind of waiting for me.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a real, it was a totally different time than it is now, right? Now you got the internet. You can just pick up Facebook and send text, a direct message to,
Right.
some, horrors movie star, whatever, see if they respond to you. But back in the day, if you were clever, if you knew what town they lived in or where they lived in or their area code,
Yeah.
you could literally just call 411 and you ask the operator for their phone number and they would give you their home phone number.
Yes.
That,
That's
that's that's
excellent.
how that's how I met Tom Savini. I met Tom Savini
Really?
by calling the Pittsburgh 411 and say, may I have the number to Tom Savini, and how do you spell that, sir? And then I gave him the name, and then
Yeah.
they gave me his home phone number, and I called him up. I said, "Hello, is this Tom? This is Joey Castro. I live in Helotes, Texas, and I love your work." And
Oh man.
Tom would just talk to me on the phone, and he would like share all kinds of
That's
secrets with me and stuff.
awesome.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is so cool. How was the first that first initial call, how was that received from him? Was it like he was taken off guard, or was he just like thrilled somebody's calling him? Like,
Oh yeah, no. Back in the day, it was such a small handful of group of people that knew how to do what he did. He
sure.
was so eager to share it with everyone. He
Yeah, I
didn't.
bet.
It wasn't like highly competitive like it is today. And so
Yeah.
there was no. I mean, he was literally the cream of the crop, right? It
Mhm.
was like if you want to kill somebody on camera, you call Tom Savini. There's no one
Right.
else. There's
Yeah.
no one else to call, right?
Yeah.
So and so he didn't really. I wasn't like a competition like some kid
Sure.
today who went. Now he has his own school where he teaches. So
Yeah.
it's a he's kind of like still doing the same thing he did back then, but just in a bigger way. But no, he was very kind to me. Always has been kind to me. In fact, the first time I met him was back in I want to say God, like maybe 2005 was actually the first time I met him in person.
Okay.
And because I had talked to him on the phone for years, and I said, "Hey, this is," I wasn't Joey anymore. I was Joe Castro, and I said,
Sure.
"Hey, we used to talk on the phone quite a bit. You probably don't remember me." And he's like, "I don't remember you." So I don't remember you. But he was very kind to me then. He's always been kind to me, and I recently saw him again at Screamfest in Louisville, Kentucky, this
Okay.
past year, 2025, and he came over and just yeah said hello and always very kind, been very kind to me. So
Oh,
Tom
that's
Savini
awesome.
is a class act, and he's inspired countless people.
Absolutely. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
What a legend, absolutely. So, and in your opinion, who is the greatest special effects? I mean, does anybody beat Savini, or I mean,
I
you
mean,
know,
no, I mean, there's so many. I mean, I don't know if I could pick just one. I mean, there's so many amazing things that people have done for me and for the world. If you go to my Facebook page, I try to take a moment to acknowledge all the men and women who have helped me throughout the years, and
sure,
everybody's contributed something, from my own, to give you my own personal take on who's the best would be very difficult to do. There's just
okay,
so many, I mean, if you go back to like the back in 1980, 83, every movie went to the movie theater
hmm,
because VHS had just begun coming out.
sure,
So
sure,
if you made a movie, it didn't matter how bad it was, somehow it got to a movie screen. It was
it
shot
was
on
coming
film.
out.
Yeah, yeah. Like I saw, have you ever seen a movie called Return of the Aliens, The Deadly Spawn?
No,
You never seen Return of the Aliens, Deadly Spawn?
no,
Like, Jesus.
I'm
Okay, I'm
gunning
oh,
out.
I'm
Clearing my
old. I'm old.
weekend.
I saw Return of the Aliens, The Deadly Spawn as a double feature with Beetlejuice.
Oh, cool.
It's like it's this movie made for like 150 grand or maybe even 50 grand,
Yeah.
double bill with Beetlejuice, a major studio film in San Antonio, Texas. I saw Fulci, Louis
Hmm.
Fulci's film. Have you ever seen City of the Living Dead, The Gates of Hell?
Yeah, yeah, yep.
Okay, I saw Gates of Hell as a double feature with Larry Cohen's Q,
Oh,
the one
wow.
about the winged bird. So every movie made during that time would eventually get to the movie theater, and of course they were considered non-rated or unrated back then. If there
Hmm.
was too much gore in the film, it was basically considered rated X, so the MPAA wouldn't give them an R rating, and so
Oh.
only like the really shady theaters would pick them up, and they would have to like double bill them with something that would bring people in,
Oh, yeah.
and
Okay, that makes sense.
yeah, and I mean, so I remember like going to this is theater, CD Theater downtown in San Antonio, Texas, and I saw a movie called. Have you ever seen a movie called The Slayer?
No.
And it stars the men, the like some of the actual men from the band Slayer.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
it's
No, I
it's
haven't heard this.
you have to. I saw that movie in the movie theater when it was first.
Oh,
All that stuff. All those '80s, all those old '80s films that are like these classic movies.
yeah.
The people can only see today, like on Blu-ray or whatever.
Right.
I was like a
Oh, wow.
preteen, 12, 13, 14 years old, and my cousin Eddie Paris, who was 33 at the time, he would take me as his guardian, and
Sure.
we'd go to these CD theaters where
Yeah.
no one under 17 would be admitted, but we would go in anyways. You pay a
Yes.
ticket price, and I get to see all these movies that warped my fragile preteen mind. And it was a great time. It was a great time for films and for filmmaking and for practical effects. And like I said, you had easy access to all these men and women that were like in the field and
Yeah.
willing to teach and share what they had. Yeah.
Well, that's it's such a great background to like everybody watching, just how networking used to work back then. I mean, it's just like you had to work for it, but I mean it's logical how that makes sense, and and you build your groups and your people, and God, that's awesome.
There was a magazine called Cinemagic.
Okay.
Have you never heard of it? It was a magazine, I believe, that was it was the editor was produced by other independent filmmakers, micro budget
Okay.
independent filmmakers. And if you got a subscription to that magazine too, you could put a little thing in the back of the book. But what they
Nice.
really wanted you to do is they wanted you to like send in your own personal article about like how you would make whatever it is you were good at.
Mm.
Like, how do I make a zombie makeup or how do I make a mechanical mask? And if they liked it, they'd run it in the magazine. And in this way, you got to meet all the other young people in the United States or all over the world
Yeah.
that were trying to become special effects artists or independent filmmakers. And
Wow.
I met a lot of pen pals that way. That was
Sure.
snail mail, right? And,
Yeah,
put the mail
yeah.
and wait for the letter to come back to you. Yeah,
Well,
so that's how we did it back in the day.
because that was going to be another question too. Is just like how does one back in the day, again, I guess phrasing this pre the internet and all that, how do you learn more tips and tricks and
Yeah.
techniques to special effects unless you're literally in front of somebody, but like that sounds like right there, so you could read that magazine and catch some
You,
ideas to
you
try.
you can go right now on the internet and Google Cinemagic issue number 6.
Okay.
Okay. And in that magazine, there's 16 pages of it that someone took the time to type out and explain to every young person in the world how to make a life cast of a person,
Oh, cool.
sculpt a monster, make a mold of it, and make your own custom rubber mask. And when I was 12 years old, my friend Eddie, that would take me to see horror movies at the cheesy theaters, bought me that magazine for my birthday. And I made my first rubber mask when I was 12 years old.
Oh, wow.
And you can still do that today. And when people come to me, like, I have like, internet friends, Facebook friends, like my daughter wants to be a make a special effects artist. She loves
Yeah.
your work. And she's like, what can she do to begin? I say, go buy an old issue of Cinemagic, issue number 6, have her go through the steps, make the mask, and then send me a picture of it. And if she's serious about it, I will absolutely do my best to help her and guide her into doing some other things.
That's
But if
awesome.
you're not as dedicated to it at the craft,
Yeah.
you're like way late in the game. It's like, come on, let's get going.
Sure.
If your 12-year-old can do it, then you should be able to
Right.
do it too.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Wait, and my 11-year-old, she's into a lot of just I love just seeing that she's doing her own, little things. But one thing that her and her friends seem to do over all these, Facebook chats or whatever they connect through, they make these masks. There's like these like kind of like half like animal masks that you can buy as blanks, and then they first all started just kind of painting and doing their things, but now they're overlaying felt and and putting in different textures and materials and furs and all this stuff. And she shows me some of these ones now, and I go, my God, I'm like, it's just for the short amount of time where you can just go from just that, oh my God, awful looking basic to like I'm gonna go, geez, like I mean, there's no ripples in any of that, I mean, it's just like it looks great. So I might have to get her this magazine, man,
You,
and let her
you,
just go wild.
Yeah. Well, the fundamentals of being a special effects makeup artist are taught in those 3 steps:
Wow.
making a life cast of the actor, sculpting or producing the actual character that you want, and then making a mold of it and reproducing it in rubber. And that those fundamentals can be applied to like making a prosthetic, making a silicone mask, making a rubber mask, maybe even making a creature suit, this sort of thing. These are the basic essentials of becoming a special effects makeup artist, or even making a live cast of someone to get decapitated, or making a live cast of someone's hand or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's all basically laid out there in those 16 pages. Yeah. It's kind of like a rite of passage now. I meet other men my age or maybe a little older than me, and one of this good friend of mine, his name is Don Lanning. He's a sculptor and he's worked on many major motion pictures, and he has his Cinemagic framed in glass in his
Oh,
studio. It
cool.
was that magazine that started it all. That was 1982. I want to say,
Wow.
yeah, 1982. So.
So then obviously with you and your career, like, special effects was the first thing that you dabbled into before, getting more onto the movie side of.
Well, when I was 7 years old, my dad sat me down in front of the television one Saturday afternoon. He said, "Son, watch this. You're really gonna love it." And my dad knew that I was interested in dinosaurs and dragons, and he was babysitting me that day. My mother and my older brother were away for the weekend, and he sat me down in front of the TV and on a Saturday afternoon, and he had me watch Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. And it was the
Okay.
first time I had ever watched a movie like all by myself. I was 7 years old. So it
Sure.
was just like this 7-year-old kid like watching in Helotes, Texas on a Saturday afternoon, watching Godzilla for the very first time ever. I'd never seen Godzilla. And once it was over, I was like, Dad, how do they do that? He's
Yeah.
like, and then we watched the credits roll there together at the end. He goes, "Look, son, see where it says special effects?" Of course, it was written in Japanese, but then it had an
Yeah.
American translation where it said special effects. He goes,
Sure.
"That's special effects, and that's how they make all that." And I said, "That's exactly what I want to do when I grow up."
Oh,
And that
that's
was
so
7.
cool.
So, and then you said, "Well, is that the first thing you did when you started to dabble?" Yeah,
Yeah.
I immediately started doing that, but then I realized the only way for people to see special effects was to have it captured on camera. And so
Hmm.
like immediately there were some local levels of how to someone like a basic consumer could probably get something filmed. Like I know there were like some television video cameras that could be rented. Like I went and I took a class in like puppet making, and I remember the teacher had rented like a studio television space, like at a local PBS affiliate, and we all went with our puppets and they videotaped them for us to see. And that was like the closest thing to special effects we had,
Sure.
putting dry ice in water and having the puppets there and this kind of thing. But
That's
it
so
wasn't
cool.
until I think the first video camera came out in 1982 to the consumer market. It was
Okay.
JBC and Sony, I believe, had the first two video cameras on the market, and I was lucky enough to have my parents buy me a video camera that year.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
So how old were you then when that
12. I was 12.
12?
I was 12 when
Jeez.
I made the mask, and I was 12 when I got the video camera.
That's
And
so cool.
yeah, and between my mother, who was a high school economics and Spanish teacher, and my father, who was a phone salesman for drafting equipment, they had put together $2,200, which was a lot of money back in
Wow.
1982, and bought me the video camera. And my mother basically, she said, "Here you go. Here's your college education."
Yeah.
And
Jeez,
yeah,
that's so cool.
that's
I
how it
I
happened.
I mean, I can imagine that beyond prized possession for you. It's like you think about like giving like a young kid like that expensive of a piece, and you go,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
God, you better take the best care of this thing, you
I
know?
think I think I actually broke it about 30 days later,
Uh,
literally by dropping it by accident. And my best friend Stephen Schaff's father worked for Randolph Air Force Base. He worked in the Air Force in actual electronics.
okay.
He lived like a couple of miles from us. I went to elementary school with him, and my mother and I got in the car and drove my portable VCR camera over to their house, and he opened it up and he said, "This is it right here," and he just went and flicked it. Because it's like fixing an old car these days.
Sure.
It's like there's only like five parts. It's got to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
one of
yeah,
them.
right.
You just buy the one that's broken and fix it. And it was the same with this thing. It was just a matter of, I think he had to readjust this thing that wound up. And he pulled it back and he went, "There you go," and he fixed it and put it back together.
Oh,
So it was
bless his
much different
heart.
time. Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, thank God. So, but yeah, I trashed that thing and got another one, and I was very lucky to have won that contest and come out to LA and just kind of jump right in with both feet into the business, where I met people like Fred Olin Ray and Forrest J. Ackerman. Actually, eventually became the first lead actor in my first feature film
Oh, that's great.
back in 1993. He starred in a movie I directed called Ceremony, and originally it was going to be Vincent Price, but Vincent Price was too ill, and his
Oh,
manager had him turn down the role. I could have had Vincent Price in my first feature film,
wow.
yeah, but his agent said, "Make Edward Scissorhands be your last film," and he turned down my film. Yeah. Yeah,
That's so crazy.
and then our second choice was Tony Curtis, Jamie Lee Curtis's father. Tony Curtis was going to do it, and we decided to go with Forey instead. We decided to go with Forey
Wow.
instead. Yeah,
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah.
So, do you still have like some of your youngest like, record and like you got old home movie tapes, you
Oh
got a
yeah,
box
absolutely.
of
I have my husband, who I've been with for coming up on 28 years now. He took all
Oh,
my old
wow.
VHS and he digitized some of it. And every time I release a movie on Blu-ray or DVD, I also release one of my short films from my childhood with it.
Really?
Yeah. So if you
That's
purchase, like,
so
let's say
cool.
the Summer of Massacre on a Blu-ray, I believe it comes with a movie called Jack's in the Box, and it's
Okay.
about like this. It was this movie that my friend Kevin Williams and I shot over on my parents' goat ranch, and it's like this evil stepmother that has this child she locks in a fridge, and this electrician comes over to repair the fridge and opens up the fridge, and this wicked deformed child comes out and kills the repairman, and then it goes over and rips his mother's face off, and his mother's like this rotted corpse underneath or something like that. Yes,
Sweet.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's all in there. And I'm still best friends with my good friend Kevin. Kevin actually grew up about a quarter of a mile from where I lived. Kevin was also a fledgling special effects artist. We both would make monster massive movies together. He had a home video camera. I had one. We took turns making home movies, horror movies every weekend, and
So sweet.
we're still good friends. He went on to be work for the FBI, and I came out to Hollywood to make movies. So
Wow.
I keep trying to convince him to come out to LA, Kevin. Come out to LA. Let's make a movie together.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a full family. He's got a lot going on, but I know eventually I'll get him to come out here and make a movie with me. Yeah,
One of these days, it's
yeah,
gonna come. I think you just
yeah.
keep chipping away at it, right?
Yeah, no, well, he got the bug. He brought his daughter out here. They took a road trip, and his daughter's an artist as well. And I brought him out to the studio. I have a studio in the back here. My husband gave me the garage where I've been doing special
Awesome.
effects for the past 17 years, and showed him around, and he got the bug about 10 years ago, and slowly started sending me pictures of the new work he's been making, and
Cool.
it's like he never put it down. So I'm hoping we get to make a zombie movie or something cool together.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
excellent.
yeah.
So recently here, so as we've been friends now on social media, I've been following your posts and all that. I like to talk about Clown Motel.
Okay.
So is that number three is the one with Ari that with that post?
Well, Ari has been in all three films,
Sure.
and am I quoting? Am I right about that? I think he's in all three movies. I think
Okay.
he is, and I've been honored to work on all three of them. But it wasn't until the third one that I decided to ask for a larger role and be in the film in a
Yeah.
more in a grander way. And the producer who I've worked with on several films said, "Absolutely, Joe." And so I came up with the characters, and it's the character's name is Jax in the Box, believe it or not.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
cool.
it's a clown that comes out of a Jack in the Box, and got a chance to act with Ari. And I worked with Ari in a couple of movies. I worked with Ari on Clown Motel 3 and 2, and the Barn too. I worked with Ari on The Barn too.
Okay.
And yeah, so it's been an adventure. Yeah,
Yeah.
love working with Ari. Yeah, yeah,
He's
good
he's
guy.
such a cool cat, man.
Yeah.
I got to meet him at the CryptCon a couple of years ago, and we're trying to hammer out the schedule. He wants to come on the show too, and I'm just excited to have that. But what just again, I just everybody's such at the core of all this. Everybody get to meet, it's just such unique people and so many different things that they do, and just how you can just blend your, once he's established with the Jason movie, but then now he's got his band and he's just he's out there traveling. He's just loving life. I love to see everybody thriving and just a smile on people's face. And I look at you and you're happy with everything you've done. You're still doing things. That's so cool, man. I love
I
it.
I want to be like 98 years old and have them pick me up from the house and take me to the set and try to put makeup on some kid's face. Let me see here. Imagine some 98-year-old man trying to put some blood in your eye. Oh, excuse me. Hold on. I need some help over here. No, I'll be just fine. It would be fun, have them pick me up early, do my makeup effect before lunch, feed me lunch, and drive me home.
Yep,
I'll
yep.
be super happy if I can make it that far.
Yeah, home
Yeah,
for
that'd be
dinner by
great.
3.
Exactly. I would love that. Yeah, I haven't. I could just that would be just amazing. Yeah. And also, I want to talk a little bit about Herschel Gordon Lewis. Are you
Sure.
familiar? You familiar with Herschel?
No, no, I'm not. You're gonna kill me on some of these ones, but no, let us
Herschel is
know.
okay. The reason why you have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is because of Herschel Gordon Lewis.
Okay.
Herschel Gordon Lewis is the man that invented the slasher splatter formula.
Oh.
Tell me if this sounds familiar to you. A deranged killer stalks innocent victims one by one, killing each one in a gruesome on-screen death. At the end of the movie, the killer is killed by the hands of the hero or the heroine of the movie in an even more horrific on-screen death. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, that kind of rings a bell. Oh yeah.
That is the formula of Herschel's Gordon Lewis's movie Blood Feast. And he directed the
Wow.
movie back in 1963, the year, I think it was the year or the year after Psycho. Some people think Psycho was the first slasher movie, but it's not because it didn't exploit blood.
Okay.
Herschel shot his movie in color and exploited blood. It was actually considered rated X by the MPA rating system, and he could
Wow.
not get any movie theater to pick it up. because of it, because blood was
Uh-huh.
not exploited in motion picture cinema back
Sure.
then. And these are like gory deaths, hacking people up, body parts, this kind of thing. And then at the very end, I think, I don't remember exactly. I believe that the killer is killed by being chased into a trash dumpster at the end, and
Like
the
a
dumpster comes down.
compactor.
Yeah, comes down on him or something like that. It's very gory.
Oh,
Anyways,
cool.
yeah, the police I think chase him, and he hides in the trash compactor, and it kills him. Anyways, it's basically Law and Order, but with a serial killer, and they show all the killing.
Oh,
And it's
that's
very
so
graphic, very
cool.
very graphic. And there's an Egyptian feast in it where they cut up all these body parts, and they're trying to bring back to life this Egyptian prince goddess, and it's based on like an actual Egyptian ritual. The whole movie, Blood Feast, the Blood Feast. And anyway, so Herschel made that movie. He shot it himself. He wrote it. He directed it. He scored all the music for it. He edited the film himself, and he created all the special effects and his own blood formula for the film.
Oh,
This was all in
man.
1963. So I had the rare opportunity to create all the special effects for the sequel, which he directed in 2001.
Really?
Blood Feast 2, yeah. And Herschel and I became really close friends.
Dude.
And so Herschel then became the star of one of my films, Terror Toons 3. Herschel was a big fan of the Terror Toons franchise, which is a
Okay.
franchise that Steve and I own. So if you don't know who Herschel Gordon Lewis is, now you do, and your world of education is more complete than ever.
I
You
love
have
it.
you have Forrest Yackerman, who is the reason why you and I are having this conversation for
Yep.
his horror groupie, and you have Herschel Gordon Lewis, the man that invented the slasher splatter formula. Yeah.
Bloodfest. And you said that was
Blood
around
Feast.
Blood Feast. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Blood Feast. Blood Feast. The Blood Feast. Yeah. That was 1963. Yeah,
'63.
made
Dude, so those
1963.
those are the two movies I'm putting on my
Yeah.
to-do. We got that one, and then tell me the name of the clown one again, or the
Uh,
alien, or shit, what was it?
what was it that happened to it?
The one that we were talking about earlier that you're like, oh, you've never seen
The
that.
Return of the Aliens, the Deadly Spawn.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it was just released in 4K. They just released a 4K Blu-ray version of it. The Return of the Aliens, the Deadly Spawn. Yeah,
Awesome.
it was made for like, maybe I'm.
So cool.
Hold on. Let me now, because I don't want to misquote it. Let me see.
While you're looking that up too, everybody that's in the chat right now,
What
shout
was
out
the
to
budget
Steve
for
Reed, man. He's saying
Return of the
Slayer
Aliens?
from earlier. See Gilly's in the chat. We got Mr. Quinn Grinner Studios, an upcoming amazing mask maker in the TCM community. Appreciate everybody hopping on, man. This is great.
So the original budget of Return of the Aliens, Deadly Spawn was $25,000, and it was released in the movie theater as a double feature with Beetlejuice.
With Beetlejuice. God,
Yeah,
that's so cool.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I love
You
that
gotta
idea.
see
Just
it.
you pair it with the bigger dog, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
well, hey.
exactly. Yeah. Well, also two movies for the price of one.
Yeah.
Two movies for the price of one, and also The Slayer. You have to see if you like. It's a really good movie too. It's called The Slayer, and it stars I think three of the band members from Slayer. Yeah,
That's so cool.
yeah.
And obviously earlier, what is that, like a late 80s?
And 1983,
Oh, so
same
cool.
time, same time.
That's
Yeah, I saw that.
awesome.
Yeah.
I loved how like bands would also come out with these movies, even like the Sergeant Pepper, for like the
Right.
Beatles that came out. I
Mm.
mean, you watch these, I mean, and some are just terrible, god
Oh,
awful, but
just
it's
awful.
like,
It's like watching paint dry. It's so
yeah.
fucking bad. Alice Cooper did a horror movie called, we did Prince of Darkness, but
Mhm.
before that, he did this movie called Monster Dog, this like
Okay.
Spanish Italian thing. And the whole movie is like a music, it's like, I think they lured him to be in the film because they
Yeah.
said, come over to Spain, we'll shoot your music video for you for free.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we're going to put you in a movie. And so there's all these music video bits in it. But then there's this loose story of this man who's returning to his hometown to find out some legend or some folklore of like his past. And he is like the descendant of this werewolf or something, this monster dog. It has some fairly fun stuff in it if you
That's
can
cool.
if you can get through all the paint drying at the beginning of the
Yeah,
film
yeah.
to the one giant special effect at the end of the film, which is really cool, where he turns into a monster dog. And
Sweet.
yeah. So
There's something about just kind of terrible, corny. I still am a sucker for it. I'll watch all that too. I mean, I love the greats. I love something that's, really well done, but I'll sit and watch. I mean, unless it's just painful, and just like should have
There's
never made this.
there was something about watching a movie that was shot like in the 80s or even like a badly produced film. If you can know, like, especially if it's shot on film, because you got like 40 people standing around making this thing. You got a
Yeah.
sound guy, you got lighting, you got, the craft service, you have the costumer, you have a director, you have someone who loaded film into a camera. It wasn't like they were trying to make a bad film.
Yeah.
Today, you got your iPhone and someone's trying to make a feature film with a camera that, whatever. And it takes two people to make it today. But
Yeah.
there's something about watching a movie that was made back in the 80s and you realize these people weren't trying to make a bad movie. It's fun to watch sometimes. The
Yeah.
whole all the effort that was put into making this bad
Sure.
film. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
So when nowadays with, how, I mean, I'm not going to say easy it is, but how much more accessible it is to, make a movie, platforms you can just throw things up for free. You don't have to go through all this. Do you embrace that and you go, "Good. I'm glad that's an easier avenue for people to express their art," or do you look at that and go, "You didn't have to go through nearly any of the trials and tribulations that you didn't dial Tom Savini back in the
Yeah.
day, by, blah blah blah." Well, what's your take on it? Do you think
Well,
it's
Well, when I made my first feature film, it was actually shot on film. It was shot on 35 millimeter Panavision,
Mhm.
and the only way to make a movie back then was to shoot it on film. It would be considered a movie. Now there were people that were experimenting by shooting stuff on video on 3/4 inch and 1 inch, and
Yeah.
they would go directly to the home video market, and it still costs a considerable amount of money because to edit a movie like that on 3/4 or 1 inch video, you had to go to a post production facility that had the computers to actually do the editing,
Okay.
and you'd have to rent it like per hour, per day, or maybe you had some deal with them.
Sure.
So it still costs money to do that. And So when I made it, it was 35 millimeter Panavision, and my cinematographer was it's still one of is my best friend in the whole wide world. His name is Steve Gaynor. He lives like literally 5 minutes from me from here, maybe 10 minutes, and he worked in the camera department at Paramount Studios. Now, to buy 90 minutes worth of film stock, just 90 minutes,
Yeah.
not like 90 minutes, like 90 minutes worth of actual film,
Yeah, yeah, just straight, right.
with no like mistakes or
Right.
action. That's just 90 minutes worth of film,
Yeah.
and to purchase it and to process it to develop it so you could see it costs about $75,000.
Wow.
So that's just if you wanted to do a 1-to-1 take shooting ratio, which means ready, action, do it. And then if you messed up, you couldn't go back and do the take again. You would
Oh,
just
man.
you would just cut to a different angle, move forward from there. You used to make movies like that all the time. So that's how
Jeez.
that's how I made my first film,
Yeah.
shooting at like almost a 1-to-1 shooting ratio on 35 millimeter Panavision. Now the film that we didn't have to pay for the film stock because he worked in the camera department at Paramount.
Okay.
They he was responsible for refrigerating because you put film into like a refrigerator.
Okay.
Whenever you used to take like actual pictures, like on camera with
Yeah, yeah.
film, they used to keep the film in the fridge to keep it like fresh or I don't know, whatever it was,
Sure.
store it so it wouldn't go bad.
Yeah, yeah.
So whenever they would shoot TV shows on film, they would check this stuff into the film lab at Paramount at the end of the day if they had any short ends or any film that was left, and they would sell it off to independent filmmakers.
Oh,
Well,
cool.
after a certain amount of time, the film would go bad, and it would be past its expiration date, and they'd just have to throw it out.
Okay.
They'd be like, throw it in the trash. Just throw it in the trash. We have too much of it. So he wouldn't throw it in the trash. He would bring it home and put it in his fridge. That's how we made our first film. Yeah. So
Oh, man.
it took me like 2 or 3 years to put together the first feature film. But back in the day, Blockbuster would buy your movie for $150,000 for the first 2 weeks.
Okay.
So if you made a movie for $75,000 and you sold it for 150, boom.
Wow.
Does that make see how easy how different it was then? You had to go through a
Yeah.
lot of rigmarole, but you would definitely make a profit. And that also didn't include Hollywood video.
Okay.
Also, you could sell it to foreign countries, 30,000 here to the UK, or another 20,000 to Australia, and 5 and 10,000. So you can make some really good money if even just making a
Wow.
crappy little film. That was my first film experience. So now I'm going to answer your question. How do I embrace the digital and the
Yeah.
technology today? You know, you still have to make a movie that people want to relish and covet, and
Yeah.
cult, that this kind of thing. Everybody wants to make a next cult hit, and I think if you just make a movie that you enjoy, you'll be fine. You'll be happy with it.
Right.
But you got to make a movie that you really like. A lot of people make movies today to be famous. They make movies to get rich. I don't know other ways, but it's hit and miss. But you got to make a movie that you're happy with, I believe, and that's how we try to do these days.
Sure.
I've had some luck, and I've had not so much luck, and it's kind of a similar story with everybody, really and truthfully, if you think about it. Even Steven Spielberg's had some hits, and he's had some big
Yeah.
hits, and then he's had some severe misses. I mean, watching the last Indiana Jones for me was like watching paint dry. I couldn't get through it. It was slow
Yeah.
for me. Some people say it was amazing. I think we shut it off halfway through.
Yeah.
But God bless them if you love it.
Yeah.
And yeah, just embrace it. I'm embracing AI now, and
Yeah.
I think that if you're out there making movies, and you're making entertainment, then you're doing the right thing.
Absolutely. And I think with that, with the whole AI part of it too, it's like, the what ifs and the well, what does it come to? But right now, embrace it as it's a tool, it's
It's
like,
just a tool.
yeah,
I remember back when Predator came out, and they used some of the first CGI in that film, and
yeah,
they used some of the first CGI in all those big movies, and oh my God, the effects are going to take over, and we're never going to see, we're not even going to need people anymore. Meanwhile, 30 years later, it hasn't happened yet.
sure.
We still
Yeah,
need people.
right.
You still need people. Now AA is coming. You're not going to need people anymore. No, you're still going to need the people. People are
Yeah.
still going to want to see the people. And like you said, it's just a new tool, and you can embrace it and use it as you wish. And I think there's always going to be like the purists that like love the original stuff.
Yep.
I mean, that's why we go back to all those black and white sci-fi horror films
Of
from the
course.
50s and 60s. And there's going to be people that want to see something new. And
Right.
the Marvel types and the AI types. I mean, even with the short clips we see now of AI, it's
Yeah.
kind of difficult to get through them on Instagram. You see a little bit of it, and you move on. It's not
Yeah.
that big of it. It's not that engaging. And
Yeah.
I think you need human interaction to be engaging. And
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
And it
and
doesn't.
it's like you don't need to just pick one team or the other. Well,
That's right.
just you dabble in everything. You just learn to
That's right.
appreciate it all. It's
Well,
kind of like that's parallel to like music lovers too. That we got like I collect vinyls.
yeah,
You got that old school experience and feel, but yet I mean I still consume most of my music on digital. I mean
yeah,
it's just and that's okay to flip around between it all. It's
yeah.
just experience everything that's out there. Why not?
Right.
What does that matter? But
Yeah.
going back to the idea though about like with nowadays somebody to make a film to just to have the ability to put it up on YouTube or Rumble or whatever, I do think that's gotta for just in general for just the movie industry. It's got to allow so many more people with really great ideas to be able to put out something, versus instead of like, well, if you didn't get that, production deal, if somebody didn't pick up your film, it ain't going anywhere, right? And it's like, so I think at least that's a greater way to embrace it, where it's like, oh yeah, maybe it's a little easier just to put it up there, but hey, Johnny's film would have never been seen, had that not have just been an option to upload it, I,
There's all kinds of debates that can be had about that. I mean,
sure,
personally, I feel like today, it's because it's so easily accessible to produce and put up. You have to, dig through a dumpster to find the diamond ring that you
yeah,
lost, and then you have the group of producers that will happily hand their film off for free because it's not really maybe their first job or their first love anyways, and they have to
mm-hmm,
move on to something else, and they're just doing it for funsies. Meanwhile, there are others that are using this industry as a venue to vessel to pay their taxes and put food on the table and send their kids to school. So you have these streaming services and distributors that are
Yeah.
literally sucking up product and content and for free and offering nothing in return because they
Sure.
can, and there's plenty of it. And then you have those that are will never be seen simply because there's too much there and it's lost in the mix. So I think that we're going to find in the future there's going to be wars between how something is produced and how it can be seen.
Okay. That's
Like,
that's really interesting.
yeah, that's where the war will come. The war will come between good content and content that's just, like it would be, it would be it would almost be like being in, like, the Bad Boys Club to be on this streaming service, or to be in the first string football team to be on this service. You know what I mean? This kind of
Yeah.
thing. So and if it was distributed in that content was distributed in that way, I think it'd be easier to access with great content. But right now, there's just so much. It's like, finding a new song on iTunes. Yeah, you have a lot of stuff that sounds the same, but it takes a while to find that one gem.
Wow. Yeah, I just think like everybody's got to live in the moment. It's just there's so many like what ifs and all that, and it's just like right now it's just like you say, like to put out a good film, just make it something that you're passionate about. I think that's it. It's just anybody that chases. I just think that applies to anything. If you're just looking to get out and make money off it, it's a lot slimmer of a possibility that's going to be successful. But somebody that actually pours their heart and soul, you can tell this is their passion. I mean, it's that authenticity, just the genuineness of it. I think is just always the bread and butter for what can actually, you know, reverberate with people, and have them enjoy it. So, excuse me, sorry.
Well,
I
oh,
got a question, and I just
okay.
got to hear the quick backstory on it. I was looking through some of the pictures again on the Facebook. What's the origin with the big long wiener special effects that you had recently? It's
Another story for another
all
podcast.
right, fair enough. Well, and
Yeah,
that could
another
be the
story for another
cliffhanger
podcast.
right here, because I
Yeah.
swear, Joe, I absolutely love talking with you, and I feel like I could do 90 episodes with you. You've got the most amazing stories, just your history and everything that you have and the people you know. It's really inspiring.
We didn't even get into any of the controversial stuff. We just started talking. We went, I could talk about how I gave Robert Rodriguez his formula to make El Mariachi, and how I worked on El Mariachi, and he didn't even give me credit in the film. He took the credit himself. But maybe that's for another podcast.
Hey, well, will you come back on at some point? Could I have you back on?
Sure, yeah, yeah, I can talk about that. I can talk
Put you
about
on the spot here.
all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, this has been absolutely excellent. Everybody is watching in the chat too. Make sure you check out. I put links to your IMDb. Of course, your website on there too for joecastrofx.com. You can see all of his work, everything he's been doing on. But of course, social medias, we can find you on Facebook, Instagram, any other things you prefer to have plugged for, checking you out.
Yeah, just the best way to reach me. I'm on Facebook every day. I'm 56, and that's where you can find me. I'm happy
Cool.
there. I'm on Instagram, but not as much. It's Joe underscore Castro underscore director on Instagram, and it's facebook.com/Joe.Castro on Facebook. Reach out to me, send me a message, and say hello. And if
Yeah,
you want to make a movie, let's talk.
dude. I am getting my daughter at issue number 6, and she
Cinemagic
is
issue number
going to
6.
go through that. And when she does, I'm going to send you a picture,
Oh,
and
excellent,
you
excellent.
can at least put a little advice, and I'm sure it's going to mean the world to her, because I was showing her all of your work, and she was just like jaw dropping, like she couldn't believe that was real.
Oh wow, nice, excellent. Thank you. I appreciate your kind words. Yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right, well, brother, again, thank you so much for being on, and I look forward to doing this again with you soon.
Oh, thank you so much, Sean. Have an amazing rest of January 2026, and we're
Thank
already
you.
into the third week. It's almost over.
That's
So
right.
yeah, coming up on bigger and better things in 2026. It's already super exciting.
Beautiful. All right, that's where we cut it off. Everybody, you have a great weekend. Once again, Joe Castro, everybody. Everybody have a good night. See ya.
In the vast expanse where the cosmos sighs, drifts an ancient tale as old as the skies. A figure from stories now mythified, Space Corpse goes orbiting by. He once roamed planets, oh far and wide, but now he floats where the starships fly. No more breath in his chest, yet can't be denied the space cadet who died. Oh, oh, Space Corpse, in the void you glide, a spectral waltz in the galaxy's tide, floating free like a cosmic guide. Space Corpse goes orbiting by. Galaxies turn while he haunts with pride. No anchor to worlds, just space to bide. Gliding through stardust, no need to hide. This wanderer who never cried. In weightless silence where time collides, he drifts in dreams so amplified. Mysterious tales on mystic rides, Space Corpse haunts so dignified. Oh, oh, Space Corpse, in the void you glide, a spectral waltz in the galaxy's tide, floating free like a cosmic guide. Space Corpse goes orbiting by. Galaxies turn while he haunts with pride. A spectral waltz in the galaxy's tide, floating free like a cosmic guide. Space Corpse goes orbiting by.